Now, in this era of COVID-19, Zimbabwe still holds a record that happened way back before this era. The record that appears in the Guinness Book of Records for many years. This is the record of taking pills. Taking pills is never easy, but the highest recorded total of pills swallowed by a patient is 565,939. Oh yes, 565,939, I repeat. And this was between 9 June 1967 to 19 June 1988. And the holder of this title was a CHA Kiuna of Bindura, Zimbabwe. Those who stay in Bindura might know the Kiuna farm. Zimbabwe's most famous lady is known for having kept a small lion, a handa, hence her name Nehanda. There were several people who got her spirit. These included Nyamita, Nehanda, Nyakasikana, Chalwe, who we are going to talk about, a friend of Kaguvi. Kaguvi was of the Shumba clan. Kumbore Shumba was his actual name. But we are going to concentrate on his friend, Chalwe. When talking of the first Chimurenga, one lady is popular. She was known as Mbuya Nehanda. The actual name was Chalwe. Before her were the others that I have mentioned. She had a messenger known as a leg. Every Shumba or Mondolo had one, the leg or Gumbore Shumba. Her leg was known as Kagui. Some believe this was more than just a leg, but maybe, just maybe, they were closer. But we won't talk about that now. There are a few things we need to get straight about the popular Mbuya Nehanda. This lady was actually a young lady, not an old lady. So she was not an Mbuya, a word which means old. The Mbuya was the spirit in her of Nehanda, but not the flesh, the real human being. The real human being was young. She also represented the Shava totem that was domiciled in the then Manzou area, corrupted to Mazowe area, by the whites who couldn't pronounce Nzou, which meant elephants, because there were many elephants in the area. She was thus of a Shava totem, which was in Mazowe, but not everywhere in present-day Zimbabwe. There was never a Mondoro or a Mondolo for the whole country, but just for a totem or an entire clan. After all, during Nehanda's time, country boundaries were not yet there. So, there's no way we can say she represented the whole country. The country's boundaries came with the Berlin Conference. But the point is, she wasn't old, she was young. So the Mbuya is the spirit, not the person. What's in a name? Well, everything. Take the example of the country now called Zimbabwe. Its first ruler was a guy who had a dream of ruling Africa, the from Cape to Cairo dream. This guy who led the occupation of Zimbabwe, then called Rhodesia, was Cecil John Rhodes, hence the names Rhodes, a country belonging to Rhodes. So that's Rhodesia, Rhodesia. But here's the catch. The people who were in this country were called Rhodesians. Yes, the name came from Rhodes, but the last three letters coincidentally were I-A-N, E-N. Even more interesting, the last white ruler had the I-A-N, the E-N-L, part of Rhodesia, as his name. And his name was Ian Douglas Smith. And the full name of the people of Rhodesia were thus a combination of Rhodes and Ian, the first and the last white ruler. Rhodesian. Rhodes and Ian. Rhodesian. My oh my. Even the great Nostradamus would never dream of such a coincidence. So, Rhodes plus Ian equals Rhodesian.
After boasting there'd been no black rule for 1,000 years, Smith made a dramatic concession.
Number one, Rhodesia agreed to majority rule within 2 years.
The fatal words were out. There could be no going back.
Regrettably, however, we were not able to make our views prevail. Good night. I don't believe in black majority rule ever in Rhodesia. Not in 1,000 years. I repeat, I believe in black and whites working together. If one day it's white...
My name is Ian Smith. I'm generally regarded as a bit of a rebel.
In the end, both rebels, Rhodes and Ian, were to die in Cape Town, South Africa, but buried in Zimbabwe. And you wanna know something else? Cecil John Rhodes never really stayed in Salisbury, the capital city, which is now called Harare. He had no home there. He preferred Manicaland and Matabeleland provinces. He had a nice home in Nyanga, which has been turned to a lovely hotel. There, you can still see his pictures. You can see the outside of his house, which is very lovely. The farm bricks that build the house. This is a huge, beautiful house. The serene place is found on his estate in Nyanga. It is a place that still shows its wonders, a place that is a farmhouse but still beautiful today as it was back then. Admittedly, over the years, there have been many things added to this place to make it even more beautiful. But even taking away those small things added, the place is still a cool place, a nice place, as it was back in the day. The cats which he used for traveling, they're still there. You can still see his wagon, the one his horses and the cattle carried, or pushed, as he was in, going from Matabeleland to Manicaland, or from Manicaland to Matabeleland. You can still see his bedroom plaque. You can even see his bird. You can see his mirror. You can see his bedroom. You can see his wardrobe. His dressing table is also there. His calculator is there. And the calculator looks like a 1970s Remington typewriter machine. Very big, very big. What a calculator. How did they carry these things? You can see bottles of his favorite drinks, the snuff pipes, a reading room with lamps. You can see his table, his pens, including the feather ones, a couch, the fireplace that he used, his kitchen utensils, everything is still intact. It's a nice museum for Rhodes. This used to be his home. It is a place that still holds some of his precious goods. The place, like we noted, is in Nyanga, his Nyanga estate. It looks beautiful even today. Cecil John Rhodes was however buried at the Matopos in 1902 at Malindi Zimu Hill. His body was taken by a train from Cape Town to Bulawayo and was buried as per his will on the Matopos Hill. Maybe this was the first hero's acre for Zimbabwe, then Rhodesia, or maybe the idea of having a hero's acre came from seeing this place. Rumor has it that the reggae group UB40 once peaked at this grave. Well, every time they hold a show in Zimbabwe, it rains. Some superstition? Perhaps.